David and I are touring in Chicago, and here we start with the magnificent interior of Unity Temple in Oak Park by Frank Lloyd Wright. This is an extremely important building, and frankly, is my favorite interior of any building in the world. This is maybe my 5th visit to this space, and when I was last here, it was really imperiled structurally. Today, it is one of 8 Wright buildings that constitute a World Heritage Site. It is now in good shape, having been restored by Gunny Harbaugh, architect here in Chicago, who we've had the pleasure of meeting in Winnipeg sites. This building was built between 1905 and 1908, but reads as an incredibly modern structure. It, in fact, is the first modern religious building built in the United States. It was not only so in terms of its mass and its structure, but also in terms of its actual bones. This is a reinforced concrete building, which in 1905 was really a state of the art, something totally new. The Unity Temple was built for the Unitarians. They still have this as their home, as a congregational space. It's a working church, and Frank Lloyd Wright's family, and if not Frank Lloyd Wright nominally himself, were Unitarians. Very important structure. Now, though, we will be enjoying this. Luckily, David and I have the building, this world-class building to ourselves. It's just serendipity. I hope you enjoy the different shots that David will be able to take of this building, and also other lovely places in Chicago that we are visiting while we're here. Stay tuned.
And while you're in Oak Park, you'll find a whole whack of Frank Lloyd Wright designed houses, such as these 3 that are just around the corner on Forest Avenue.
And around the corner from there, we're at Cooper's Hawk Winery and Restaurant for a fine lunch.
Yeah, it was really quite good. They actually gave you 2 free samples of wines to try before you actually sat down and purchased any wine. And the meal was really quite deluxe.
Oh yeah, you can just see how exquisite it really is.
Of course, the whole purpose of our trip to Chicago was to track down J.D. Atchison buildings for Gail's study.
This is the lone house designed by Atchison, still standing in the greater Chicago area. There are, in fact, 8 of his buildings still existing. Most are flats. They were in the Garfield Park area. It was a fashionable area in its time. And you can see that there is some rather pleasant detailing here, classical detailing in terracotta and glazed brick. Another one here that's a more typical gray stone, but still one with really lovely details.
And I'll just pipe in here that it was a really, really cold day, very hard on the photographer and his fingers. Thankfully, we had a rented car. We were able to scoot around to all these buildings in one day.
Yes, it was actually more efficient than we thought it might be.
So on another day, we headed north on the metro to the city of Evanston. In this case, we arrived there and we didn't have a car. We actually walked through the neighborhood. It was a slightly milder day.
And there's really a whole collection of Atchison buildings in Evanston where he lived between 1900 and 1905. He has apartments here. This beautiful courtyard apartment is one of the first in the United States of this particular style. You can see he was influenced by Louis Sullivan. A commercial building on Davis Avenue, still in operation.
Some stuff that actually reminds me of some of the bigger projects that he did in Winnipeg as well.
Yes, you can certainly see the line between his work in Chicago and that in Winnipeg. And here we have another one of his apartment blocks that is of a courtyard style, designed just before he came to Winnipeg, where his first commissions were similar type apartments.
So all that photography and architecture gazing left us hungry. Here we are at Tapas Barcelona for a fine paella meal at lunchtime.
One cold morning, we walked around the Loop looking at William LeBaron Jenney buildings because our friend Atchison worked at that office for 2 years. And here's a building that was designed just before he came to the office, but where maybe there was still some work to be done. Another Jenney building. Jenney was a historically renowned, still is, engineer architect. So this building is now a condo. It was originally an office block. This one Atchison may have had a hand in because he was actually at the office when it was designed. It is now the Compton Grey Hotel, but it was built as an insurance company. You can just see how lovely the interior is, not unlike many of the office buildings in downtown Winnipeg. Here we have the Central YMCA, also designed when Atchison was with the office. It now takes the name of its address, 119 LaSalle.
We had quite an unexpected but delightful detour out to the Illinois Institute of Technology and the Crown Hall, which is designed by Mies van der Rohe.
Yes, my friend Alejandro Saldana Pareles was receiving his PhD. He was defending his thesis that very day that we were in the Chicago area, and he had helped me do research on Atchison during the COVID shutdown when I couldn't get to museums and other places.
So we ended up taking a little a tour led by Alejandro through the Hyde Park neighborhood, which was really quite nice. This is just one of the buildings that we happened to see along the way. Very definitive automotive theme going on here.
We whiled away many hours walking through downtown Chicago. It's like every moment you turn your head and there's another iconic building. And
it's important to remember that our hotel was just around the corner from the square. We actually looked out our window of our hotel onto the square.
Our hotel was a springboard to the wonders of downtown Chicago. You know it, it was Restaurant Week in Chicago.
And here we happen to be at one of our favorite restaurants, La Frontera Grill, which is by renowned chef Rick Bayless. And we've been here actually several times now. This is just another iteration of his continuing expertise in Mexican cuisine. Really enjoyed it. It was a lovely, I think it was about a 5-course deal.
I think it was, yeah. Yes, part of the Restaurant Week special.
Yeah.
And we were due.
And it's another day and another piece of iconic Chicago architecture.
It's the Rookery Building, designed by Daniel Burnham and John Root. Poor John Root died at the age of 41, so we don't have a lot of work from him.
But the spectacular interior was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. Quite an exciting little courtyard space.
And this space was restored in 1992 by Gunny Harbaugh, who we had seen his work in the restoration of the Unity Temple.
Obviously an expert in Frank Lloyd Wright stuff.
Yes.
And of course, you can't go to Chicago without going to the Art Institute of Chicago. They had a great photography show there that I really enjoyed. I think Gail enjoyed it too.
Oh, I love the Art Institute, yes.
Yeah,
In fact, this is a place where Atchison studied, it is said, although not in this particular building. It would have been in the earlier incarnation, most likely.
And we're looking here at a major show of Camille Claudel's sculptural work.
Icons everywhere, so icons in art as well as architecture.
Most definitely, you can spend many, many hours in the Art Institute.
Down the road is the famed Berghoff restaurant.
Yeah, we chose this. It's an old chestnut of a restaurant. We've been there before. This was our last dinner in Chicago, and we thought it would be a fitting place to end our stay in Chicago.
Nothing like a Midwestern steak.
Definitely.
Hi again. Hope you enjoyed our shots of Chicago. This is just one stop on our mega tour of the USA, but a really important stay for sure.